Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Welcome back to another movie review. Um, and now for the next review, um, I'm doing is another a film, one of Robin Williams' films, in which I miss Robin Williams. Great guy, great actor, comedian, everything. It's too bad he's now no longer with us. And I'm gonna do one of my favorite Robin Williams films, and also that this film's also my my brother's top list of his favorite films of all time. Because he absolutely loves this movie to death as well. I really do enjoy this film, and now this is one of his good films, Jumanji. The classic film Jumanji, starring Robin Williams, and it's based on the children's book of the same name. Um, and the film was released in around this time in December of 1995. And it is directed by Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston, who directed Jurassic Park 3, Captain America, the First Avenger, the classic Honey I Shrunk the Kids, Rocketeer. Um, what was that? I forgot what that film was called. With Viggo Mortensen, Helldago. I think that was the film's name. And then of course the Wolfman remake. But Joe Johnston. Oh, and also he also directed he directed the parts of the Page Master, the live action sequences of the film, the Page Master. Um, and this in this in the, when the film came out, of course, it got mixed reviews. Has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, but has a decent rating on IMDb. Has a 6.8. Um, and when the film came out in theaters, it did really well at the box office. On a budget of 65 million, had made 262 million, and became the 10th highest grossing film of 1995. So it did really well at the box office. And I enjoy the film as well. You know, like I said, this is my brother's I think it's like his third or second all-time favorite films. Of course, because I listened all the time whenever I mentions this film to him, he always says the infamous quote that Ron Williams says at the end of the film. Jumanji. He says it all the time. That's how much he loves the film. Because he loves that line. But anyway, so and and also starting the film, which I'll get into. But getting into the story, it opens up, how you have these two kids, in the year 18, 18, 1869, and they carrying like this chest here, and as you hear the sounds of the beating drums, and they bury in the woods. You don't know what it is, and of course you know what it is when it's in the film because of the title. But you know what's in the chest. But anyway, it's like 100 years later, 1969, and yeah, of course you have the boy Alan Parrish. He's a rich kid though, when he gets bullied at school. Um, but when he goes into because his father runs a shoe factory, and called Parrish Shoes, and he has a friend named Carl, and he actually puts one of the shoes that he has, like Carl has an idea that'll improve the industry, but yet it was like a new sneaker, he actually puts the conveyor belt and ruins it, in which that later, ends up Carl gets fired from, he takes the blame for it, and outside, uh, Alan gets bullied again, and they steal his bike. So he goes to a construct. Here's the drum beats, and he goes to the construction site and uncovers it. Covers the board game called Jumanji. So he takes it home with him and he hides it. So later in the night, he gets into an argument with his father, played by Jonathan Hyde. Um, about tending the boarding school. So they both get in an argument about that. And he leaves. Um, he almost about to go pack his stuff and about to run away, until a girl named Sarah, which is the girl that Alan likes, and she returns his bike, and they hear the beats, the drums again. They want to play the game, called Jumanji. And they said the pieces, the like animal pieces, they like magic. They go into right the starting positions, and um Sarah she rolls the dice first, and of course in the middle of the game it shows the words, what comes out of the game, which they did not know, which is of course bats though, but get to that in a second, which doesn't come a couple seconds after when Alan rolls the dice and he rolls like a 5 or because it said like on the words, in the jungle you must wait until the dice roll 5 or an 8, So he gets sucked into the game. Sarah gets attacked by the bats, and now it's been like 26 years later, which is now 1995. Yeah, 1995, and the two kids get move in with their Aunt Nora, Judy and Peter. Judy, played by Kirsten Dunst, and Peter, played by Brad, Bradley Pierce, which I think really enough. I think which I didn't know at the time though. I think Bradley Pierce at the time he voiced Tails in the Sonic the Hedgehog TV series. This one, I might be wrong there, but could be mistaken though. But I think he did. You know, so they move in. With their aunt. Because it's been like because I suppose that what because they deal with their living with their aunt because their parents they died in an accident, while they wanted to take a skiing trip, and they died in an accident, and they were in an accident, they died from it. So as they're trying to get settled in this house, then one day they hear something in the attic, and then they eventually find the game and they start playing as well. They get the last two pieces on the game, and the previous two game pieces are still in the positions where they were. So they play the game. The first uh, Judy rolls and then releases those bugs. Those what was it? What was the first thing? Those mosquitoes that come out first? Yeah. I think it was the mosquitoes that came out first, and then when Peter rolls, then it releases monkeys. The whole bunch of monkeys they start to trash in the kitchen and such, and then because he rolled doubles, he gets to roll again, and then that's when they releases the lion. And he rolls a 5, which releases the lion, and Alan gets pulled out of the game as an adult, played by Robin Williams. So they get chased by the lion. Then Robin Williams comes out. He has like all this uh, stuff, made uniform because he's been in the jungle inside the game with a beard and everything. He bakes the lion and gets into one of the room and closes the door. And then he sees he's back in the house. He gets excited. I mean, nobody knows it's been years later. He's what was it? Let's see where a little bedroom. He goes and runs outside, and he meets Carl, older Carl, who's now a cop, and when he's talking, I think how Carl thinks this guy is deluded, and then a couple of the monkeys they get inside of Carl's car, they use a shotgun, blows part of the roof off, and they drive off away in it. So then Alan goes to his old his dad's old shoe factory. It's abandoned. A homeless guy is there. He tells them where they're at, and which they both have been dead. Which they said that I think the homeless guy said that the father was distraught. He went out looking for him. But and soon after that, uh, as they're walking back, one of the cars gets hit with it by an ambulance. Woman. They said it was the Kirsten Dunst was a real estate agent who sold in the house, which it's been like thinking like they've been bitten by these by the mosquitoes, have these side effects, you know. And they get in the car, and the mosquito was on the glass, hitting the glass and stabbing through the top, you know. And they drive back to the house, you know, because he said they never drove before. So I drove once, you know. So Alan gets back in the house, and he shaves the beard. You know, it just said he doesn't want to play, you know. But when Judy and Peter roll, none of the pieces move, so which means that Alan has to play, but it's not his turn. It was Sarah's turn because she started the game first, you know. So they go to her old house, you know, which is supposed to live, you know, and they find that Sarah's still living there, played by Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie Hunt, you know, from Beethoven 1/2, The Green Mile, you know. And he says that Ron Williams tells that tells him that 26 years ago he used to play a game with a kid down the street, a game with drums. I was that little boy, Sarah, and she started to see that as Alan, she faints, and Peter's like, "You killed her." So they take her back to his house, you know, and as he shows her the game, she freaks out, you know. He's like, "I've been spending like over 2,000 hours, you know, in therapy, you know, thinking that game didn't exist, you know." But I think, Robin Williams, like, it was real, you know. So, and she thinks she doesn't want to roll, but so like, here, you give me the dice and go home, and he fakes her like just moving his hand out of the way, so as she ends up rolling the dice, you know, like hee, you know. It's like, it's a law of the jaw, Sarah. You'll get used to it. So, then the next roll, all these vines start growing all over the room, and Peter gets dragged by one. Was it this big yellow flower, you know? And Robin Williams gets a sword and says, "Harvest time," and slices the vine. And so they go and continue playing in the next room, the library or study, whatever. Alan, he rolls next, and Alicia's a hunter by the name of what was it, Van Pelt, you know, who was a hunter, and which is also played by Jonathan Hyde, you know. He plays the father and he plays the hunter, and which is like how he talks, and he talks like how Alan's father talks to him, you know. It's like, "Come back and face me like a man," you know. So he starts shooting at him, you know, and he also shoots up Carl's car up, you know. But Alan gets away and he disappears as well, you know. But Alan runs back into the house, and when Pim and Bonnie Hunt, they were talking, you know, Sarah rolls, saying the next word says, "Don't be fooled, if it isn't thunder, staying put, hopefully be a blunder," you know. So they hear rumbling. Robin Williams tells them, like, "Run, it's a stampede," you know. And the whole bunch of animals start bursting through the walls, elephants, rhinos, zebras, you know. And even a few pelicans. One pelican takes the game. So they chase after it, and that was me and Taylor like always both like enjoy the scene where Van Pelt goes into a gun store, you know, and the guy at the front desk tells him he needs a new weapon, and he says, "You need to fill out these forms," and Van Pelt gives him this whole bunch of gold coins. He's like, "Oh, I can fill these out, you know," and so he gives him a new gun, and his guy says, "You're not a postal worker, are you?" And guy looks at him like, you know. So whether they find the pelican at the river, Alan tries to give him a fish, but pelican pushes into the river, and Peter gets it back. So then the Carl bumps into him again, and he arrests Alan, but he says it's better that we'll finish the game later, you know, because Van Pelt is watching them. But Peter, it looks like he cheated a bit, you know, so it said that there's rules about it, and he starts growing hair, you know. Later his face changes, he looks like a monkey now. And then Alan's telling Carl in the car, tell him who he is, and says that 26-year he apologizes, tells him who he is, and then like the whole town has gone like berserk, because like riots everywhere, everybody's raiding, looting, and Van Pelt takes the board, but Pierre takes it back, and the stampede of animals running the street. Peter goes into a car, and an elephant steps on the car, flattens the car, but Van Pelt takes the game away again, goes into this discount store. So they go, without in that store, they're chasing by Van Pelt, who's shooting at him and trying to get the board away from him. And Carl and Alan, they're driving the cop car because Alan handcuffs Carl to the door, so he's driving. They drive right through the store, knocking, and Van Pelt gets like shells of paint fall on him, So as they're walking back to the store, back to the house, sees that Peter talks to Peter, and he's like, "What, are you crying? Keep your chin up, He's like, or you face it like a man." He's talking like how his father used to talk to him, and he apologizes for that, but Peter's like, "It's not that," and he whispers in his ears like, "Oh, and tells him that he has a tail growing out, of his back, So as they get back in the house, everything vines, it looks like a jungle inside the house, and like the well done effects, by who did the effects in this? Doesn't read who did the effects. Well, I want to get who did the effects. Well, I also like the music in the film by James Horner. I always like the music in the score in the film, So the James Horner did a good job with the music in it. I can't figure who did the effects, but well done effects, even the CGI effects of the animals, but even there was the good practical effects, with the vines and everything, real good. The effects on this good, especially for 1995, well done effects, I give it that as well. So they're inside the house. Aunt Nora who's driving home, she stops at a stoplight. She sees the stampede going across, her way, and like even one rhino was like kind of like panting really heavily, but one monkey snuck in and made her crash her car. When Sarah's next turn to roll, then it causes a monsoon, it makes it like the whole house fill up with water, like a river, but there's also crocodiles in there as well. So they try to get up on top of the chandelier. Robin Williams fighting off one crocodile, and while that, and Nora was with Carl because his car got crushed by bent in half, by the vines, He's like, "Fine, take it," But they get to the house and they can't open the door, and Carl's like, "I always want to do this. Can you step back, please?" And he tries to kick in the door. Water leaks and the water bursts out in their faces, and they're riding on the doors, and against the river they see crocodiles swim past them, and Carl's like looking at it like this, and is like, then screams, "Ah!" So the gang, they go up to the attic, and it's Alan's turn to roll, and the next roll turns the floor into quicksand, and he starts sinking into the floor, They're trying to give him some stuff, but it breaks apart. So Judy finally rolls, it stops, the floor hardens, and it's only his face and his hands that stick out, But also Sarah's arms are stuck to the floor as well, trying to hold on to him as well, So as Peter, he rolls next, and then unleashes spiders, big, huge spiders, which also well done practical effects, real good effects for the spiders, Let's see, when what was it? And Nora goes in the house, sees what everything happened to the house, and she goes to the door. The lion is lying in her bed, and she sees Peter, She freaks out how he looks, and he's carrying an axe, you know. And he locks into the closet, telling, "Sorry, I can't talk right now. I'll explain later," you know. So, but also when Judy tried to grab the game, one of the plants from earlier, you know, the purple flower, shoots some poisonous stingers into her neck, you know. I think it was like some poisonous darts, you know. When Sarah was tries to put the dice in her mouth, tries so it rolls because her hands are stuck to the ground, you know. And so it causes an earthquake that with the whole property and the house splits in half, you know, moves away from each other, you know, and the game falls. Alan uses the vines to swing, you know, grabs the game. Anyways, he's just about to roll when Van Pelt comes in. He's covered in paint, you know, tells him to drop the dice, you know. One dice rolls 1, and the other one keeps rolling. And when Van Pelt tells him, you know, "Are you afraid?" And Alan says, "I'm terrified, but my father always said you must face what you're afraid of." And and Pelt's like, you know, "Good lad, you're finally acting like a man." It's like, so it was like something that his Alan's father would tell him, so that's the way he talks to him, you know, and tells him any last words, and then the roll finally rolled a 2, and then his piece rolled into the middle, saying Jumanji, and that's when my brother likes what he was saying, you know, he's like, Jumanji, and like, huh? And he's saying again, Jumanji, you know, that's what my brother likes always repeating, you know, because he likes that line, you know. And he's just about to shoot, and Sarah steps in front of him, but as soon as the bullet stops in front of him, because everything, since the game is now over, everything gets sucked back into the game. All the animals, you know, the monkeys, animals, everything, you know, and Van Pelt, he's the last to get sucked into the game. His head gets stuck for a second, and then back into the game it goes, and then it goes back to the year 1967, you know, back to when Alan and Sarah are kids again, you know. So, but then his father returns, Alan's father returns, gives him a hug, you know, said that he's sorry, and his father apologizes as well, you know, and it's like, "Why don't we talk later, man to man?" But Alan says, "How about father to son?" He's like, "Okay." But also, Alan reminds his father that he owns up to that it was his fault to put the shoe in the conveyor belt, not Carl, and he's happy that he told him, you know. So then he's like, also like, "Holy smokes, Judy and Peter," and Sarah reminds that it's back to 1967. They don't exist yet, you know. So they take the game, they like put some bricks on it so it sinks to the bottom of the river. They throw it over the side over the bridge, you know. And the drum beat again, you know. So Sarah and Alan first Sarah kisses Alan, and he's like, hey, you know, he's happy about that, you know. And then it takes place the 20 years later, you know, when they're back into adults, you know, and Sarah's pregnant, and Alan's happy with talking. He was talking to his father on the phone. He has like discussing a new product, and he's dressed in a Santa suit, you know. So they finally get to meet Judy and Peter's parents, you know, and you know, with Judy and Peter's parents come to the party, you know, because the father was offered a job at the shoe company, you know, and they see the kids, he's like, "Oh my God, there they are," you know. So, and as soon as they were discussing when his job will start, you know, he's discussing him and his wife will take the skiing holiday, you know, which would which would have led to their deaths before, and they both, Sarah and Alan, say, "No," you know. So they saved the parents' lives, so the children won't be orphaned, you know. So they said they agreed to still take the job, you know, and prevented their deaths, you know. So then, of course, it ends with this showing the house. And Christmas light saying, "We wish you a Merry Christmas," because it takes place in Christmas, you know. Which is funny because it's during the time of Christmas, so I want to show and the film when it's Christmas, you know. Get what I'm saying? But then it also shows two kids walking on a beach. They're talking. They said it was like two French kids talking. I don't know if it was the language they were talking, and it says, "What's that noise?" And he shows the Jumanji, the game half buried in the sand. So yeah, I'm going to say I always enjoy Jumanji. My brother will always love Jumanji, and of course you can hear in the background my dog barking. I do agree with all the positive reviews here. Exciting, thrilling adventure. The whole family will love. An adventure ride for the entire family. Edge of your seat, excitement. The film is on for like an hour and 104 minutes, but goes at a decent pace. Like I say, rest in peace, Robin Williams. He will be missed. One of his good films. Directed by Joe Johnston. Great direction by Joe Johnston. The effects, the score, cast did a good job. Jonathan Hyde as both the father and Van Pelt. Really great. Of course, my brother likes Jonathan Hyde as plays as the hunter. So anyway, that's my review for Jumanji. Another good classic adventure film. Of course, it came out in 2000. Wait, was it 2005? Another like a different film called Sathura was supposed to be like another a game that comes to life, but it didn't do that well at the box office. So anyway, that's my review of Jumanji. So thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned on the next movie review, which I'll get to reviewing more Christmas films. So which I'll do. So yeah, this is a classic, and Robin Williams will be he'll be really missed. One of his good films, especially one of my brother's all-time favorite films as well. So thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.